What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I bring you yet another posing showcase. Today for this video I'm using both the mighty Iron Man Mark 7 from the Avengers and Endgame 2012 Captain America with the suit also seen in the first Avengers film. Now, this showcase was actually prompted by two scenes I threw together in my recent Captain America collection video. If you haven't seen that one, go check it out after this. It features all the Captain Americas I have currently in my collection. So, to clarify, this video has been built off those two scenes, and you will see them again in this one, which I'll point out when we get to them, as I didn't want to leave them out as I think they fit in really well with this showcase too. In full, this video features a total of 12 scenes, this one here being number 1, the intro. We have Tony and Cap back to back, and funnily was actually the last scene I filmed for this showcase. I love how these two look together. I have Tony in full battle damage mode with all his accessories articulated, and I must say I honestly think this is one of the best engineered figures Hot Toys has ever done. Then we have 2012 Cap in all his glory, a nice simple elegant pose holding his shield, complimenting Tony to kick this off. Don't forget, if you like my content, hit that like button, hit the notification bell and subscribe to the channel. It helps me grow and continue to make this type of content, not to mention I really appreciate all the support. Just for doing so, you go in the draw to win yourself a really cool prize we have going on the channel at the moment, which I'll touch on at the end of the video. But now, with that, you know what we do. Scene number 2. Okay, so this setup here I filmed and used in my last Captain America video, and it's one of the reasons that spurred on this entire new showcase, so I thought I'd throw it in early to set the tone. It all started with getting this Spider-Man base, and I wanted to see how other figures would pose up on it, and this is one of the two poses I did in the Captain America video using said base. In this video I do a total of 5 scenes with it to see how I can get these guys interacting with it. And it's actually quite versatile, and I think I'll be able to do even more with it with my Spidey figures when the time comes, as he is much smaller than these guys here. We have Cap stepping up onto the rubble, looking out over the battlefield, holding the scepter and raising his shield. Then we have Iron Man, fully weaponized, flying in around the side of the ledge. I imagine this is atop a battle damage building and Iron Man is flying in to assist Cap. Both are pretty simple safe poses held with the flight pole each. I have a generic plain base and flight pole underneath the diorama base for Iron Man, and the weight of that base helps support his base and the flight pole. And then Cap, we have him using the flight pole that comes with it, just to have it wrapped around his leg here as to not cause any damage to his waist, and it allows him to be on an angle like this, which I think looks really cool. Scene number 3. We have Cap and Iron Man going in different directions for this one. I think visually for this display, having them play off each side of the base is a cool different way to use it, opposed to just having them stand on top of it. It's definitely a scene though more suited for the turntable, as on the shelf it would be a bit hard to see them properly. But as you know, I'm a big fan of displays that you can see in 360 degrees. For the poses, we have Iron Man in the air in a fairly dynamic pose here, back thrusters up and looking as if he's just slowed down to reach forward and blast some fool. For him, I've replaced some of his parts and removed some of his weaponry here, as the Mark 7 does come with so many switch out parts. You have so many options for him. Throughout this video, you will see in each scene he looks different, as I was playing around pretty much every time. Then we have Cap sliding down the side of the rubble, in front, shield up, heading off in the direction of the enemy to take him on. I have twisted him up quite a bit for this look as well, so it's not something I'd leave him in long term on the shelf, just so you know. To keep him balanced, I have the flight pole twisted and underneath him for this one to balance on instead of using the waist grabber, which I think actually works pretty well for this one. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Scene number 4. We have Cap and Iron Man back to back, Cap holding the scepter and his shield, looking down onto the battlefield, and then Iron Man fully weaponized again and in motion as if he's about to slide and lift off the base whilst aiming at an enemy about to blast a wrist rocket. This scene here is the second one I did in the Captain America showcase, and I had to include it in this as well as it was another catalyst for this whole video. For the poses, Iron Man's pose is inspired by the Queen Studio Mark 7 statue that I liked, and I wanted to try it in figure form, and I think I got pretty close to the look, to be honest. Then Cap I added after that to play off Iron Man and create this look. I'm super happy with this pose, not just for the look, but because I was able to get him to balance on his own. I don't know why, but I can't stand seeing flight poles, so anytime I can pull off a pose without a flight pole, I'm a happy chappy. This base is good for that, as it does have lots of little grooves all over that you can wedge feet and hands into, and I think it worked really well on this one. Scene number 5. We have Cap and Tony in the midst of battle. Cap is in motion, stepping off to the left, taking on some enemies, and Tony is flying in past him, taking on enemies to the right. For this scene, I wanted to have both of these guys crossing each other in battle in dynamic poses, and I'm loving how they look together on this base. This one reminds me of a comic book cover, to be honest. For the setup, again I have an extra base and flight pole underneath so I can have both of these guys secure. I think this Cap also looks really good in movement type poses like this, and having a base like this allows you to play with the different angles, which I think can enhance an otherwise simple pose. For Iron Man, I'm being a little bit more ambitious on this one, having him fly in like this. I know this one looks very different than a standard flying pose you may have seen before, but this one I wanted to capture a moment of him flying in, reaching forward about to blast with his leading hand. Again, I played off the surroundings of the base, having him fly in through it without crashing into it. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Scene number 6. This is the last one using this base with these guys for this video. We have Cap and Tony in full-on dynamic mode. We have Cap leaping back over the railing with his shield up for protection, and then we have Iron Man flying back, taking aim, about to blast a wrist rocket. His pose is actually inspired by a moment in the Avengers film where they're flying backwards like this, shooting at the Chitauri. As you can see for this one as well, I have them crossing over each other again, going in different directions, as visually I really enjoy how that looks on display. For Cap, I actually have him balancing on one foot on the base and his butt on the railing, so I didn't need a flight pole, and I think it plays way better like this. For Iron Man, it was all about figuring out how to get him to balance, as he is a heavy fella. But once I got that figured out, using the base and flight pole underneath again, instead of the flight pole that comes with it, then it was all about just tweaking the look of him to suit the scene. Scene number 7. We have our two heroes ready for war. For this one, we have Iron Man in his iconic landing pose, and then Cap having swung his arm back with his shield as if he's winding up in that moment before he's about to launch it. For Iron Man, I've switched in all his battle damaged armor for this one, and for the pose, this is actually the first time I've tried a landing pose with the Mark 7, and I have to say he moves so well. It was a pleasure to put him in a landing pose. His engineering is amazing. It was a shame taking him out of it, I can tell you that. For Cap, it's a pretty simple pose really. I saw a picture of him in a comic holding his arm back like this with his other fist up, like he was winding up, and I just wanted to emulate that and see if I could give it a go in figure form. The toughest part was actually getting to balance without a stand, but I got there in the end. Together, these guys are awesome, and I think they would look great together like this in a DTOF. I would love to know what you guys think of this one. Let me know in the comments down below. Scene number 8, we have the brothers in battle. Tony kneeling and shooting both his lasers at enemies on both sides of him, and then we have Cap in a dynamic pose, shield up and scepter in hand. For this one I wanted to try a more grounded battle scene option without any flight poles, and this is what I landed on. I brought in the rock base for Cap to use to play off and balance on, and I think it worked nicely. His pose is actually inspired by a Wonder Woman statue I've seen before. Now I can't remember which one, sorry, but I know she has a shield and sword doing this pose. I think I got pretty close to the look, but not spot on, as it is tough to get a 1/6 figure exactly as dynamic as a statue. For Iron Man, I wanted to find a way for him to use his lasers, and there's something about this pose that I just love having him in it with his head down, shooting off to both sides like a total badass. You know, it's poses like this that make me wish I had batteries right about now to light him up, as I think he'd look sick lit up right now. Unfortunately though, at the time of filming this showcase, I couldn't find any batteries locally at all. Scene number 9. Okay, for this one, we're just focusing on Cap. This and the next one are individual poses of these guys trying to capture iconic looks that would make you think of the characters whilst also being a little bit more dynamic. So here we have Cap running, throwing his shield, which is something that definitely reminds me of our Captain America. Now I know I've said it before as well, but I love how this base here has 2 ports for stands. And I know on the turntable it might not look as flashy because you can see the poles and how the shield is balancing, but in your display or for photography, this helps create the scene. In your display you can angle it just right to create the illusion, and for photography you can edit out the poles. I wanted to try and play with a different angle on this one, so I have him slightly throwing the shield in a downward motion, which from certain angles I think looks spot on. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Scene number 10. We have our Iron Man here, flying in, literally carrying the Marvel logo on his back, emulating the moment from the first Avengers film when he flew the nuke up through the wormhole into space to yet again save the day. Now, if I had a 1/6 scale nuke, I would have used that to recreate this scene, but as I didn't, I had to get creative and try something else, which led to this, and to be honest, I'm pretty happy with this one. More so just because I actually got him to hold and balance this light box on his back long enough to complete the scene. The pose itself is pretty basic, but for me, that scene was so iconic that I just had to give it a go. Since then, I will say the legend himself, Mr. Bob Dylan, has put me onto the work of a Mr. Josh Jones, who does custom work and makes the nuke for you to use, so I will be reaching out very soon to make that happen, hopefully, as I think it looks amazing. Go check him out on Facebook too. Mr. Bob Dylan, massive shout out to you, sir. Thank you, you are the man. Scene number 11. Now I had to throw in a battle with our heroes actually fighting people. So here we have Iron Man versus Deadpool and Cap versus Ronan, purely for the purpose of having people for them to go up against. With Iron Man and Deadpool, I'm using the ever versatile rock base with both clear rods supporting each of them, and this worked a treat for this scene. This way I don't have to try to have Tony actually holding Wade. Again, I wish I had batteries for him as well for this scene because he would look sweet lit up for this one, I think. For Cap versus Ronan, I wanted to try to show the moment when Cap hits someone with his shield. Now I've seen him do this in films and I've never thought to try it before, so I thought this time, why not? Let's have a crack. Now as Ronan is flying back, I'm using the flight pole for him. The cool thing about this one is actually I have Cap resting his shield into Ronan a bit, which also helps him balance. So I don't need to stand for him whilst I'm also using him in a fairly dynamic pose. I do love this scene and I love having these guys back to back in battle. This one is definitely one of my favourite ones I pulled off for this video. Scene number 12, the outro. We have Steve and Tony victorious after a massive session of posing and fighting, finishing up the showcase. There's Steve packing up the scepter, ready to take it back to where it belongs, and Tony taking a moment to rest, checking his battle damage faceplate and systems, making sure they're all good to go. Now I brought back the Marvel logo to finish this off, as these two guys are and will always be two characters that built the cinematic universe for me with their portrayals and films. But now, we've reached the end for today. I thank you all for tuning in, and if you haven't already done so, do us a favor, hit that like button, hit the notification bell, and subscribe to the channel. We currently have a new giveaway for the channel working in conjunction with Unreal Toys on Instagram, where we're teaming up to give away 2 custom capes to a lucky winner once my channel reaches 2.5k subscribers. So if you have figures with capes and you wish you could articulate them but you can't, hit that subscribe button and you could win yourself some for your figures. Now while you're at it, hop on Insta and give Unreal Toys a follow so you can see all the awesome work he's doing not just on capes, but many other ventures into the 1/6 community. Terms and conditions for this giveaway are, this time the winner will need to pay the shipping fee as the contest is worldwide, so anyone could be a winner. This is a thank you from me to you for supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. Lastly, we got reviews and unboxings, story-styled posing showcases, live streams including my shows Posed Up, where I interview fellow collectors and content creators whilst posing up figures, plus the rundown that I co-host with my guy, the Figure Posing channel, where we deep dive into film and TV. Now for this one, if you like in-depth discussion on film and TV, be sure to check us out live and join the conversation. Until next time though guys, live life, have fun, and keep posing. I'm out.